I'm up.
Um, okay, let's see.
I love
It's,
seeing all these people in chat.
I know,
What do you see now?
blue.
The stream's offline now. I don't see anything. See if it comes back up. It says stream finished, so I don't know if we're gonna have to restart a new one.
I started already.
He started it already. Huh.
Sometimes it takes a minute to catch up on
Yeah.
the
Can
YouTube page.
and no, does that mean that no one can hear us
There's
either?
8 people watching, it says.
All right.
9.
Okay, yeah, it's good.
Okay, so they can hear us. You can see us again?
Yes.
Good. Okay, great. We can get started. There's a I'm going to take a quick question that BJ just asked before we get started on everything else. I'm just still seeing blue, but if you say that
Well,
there's a
just
picture,
refresh your screen.
yeah, let me do that. But I wanted to, BJ just asked a question about how the RV is holding up on this long trip. Baby, it's built for these long trips, right? I mean, it really is. But I think why she's asking is because when you were driving back to see me a few months back, when you came and joined me on the road, you were having so many problems with the RV.
Well, just that one couple, the molding and a couple. No, we've had little things happen, but the engine, the drivetrain, it's a Caterpillar C9 engine. It's very powerful, very strong.
It's
older design, so it's tough. It's barely just broken in, this thing. It's not.
It's a very good question though, because do we have a picture?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't still. So let me just
refresh your screen.
Okay, but I can't do that and talk at the same time. So I'm going to answer this question. So, BJ, everything was going great. And then Todd wanted to take the ferry across instead of driving. We took a 12-minute ferry to avoid a 30-minute drive. But the point
was that avoiding anything. It was for fun. 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 Fun.
Okay. So I had a bad feeling. It wasn't bad. It was just like, I wanted to do it. I've never been on a big motorhome in a car on a ferry, but there was just something about it. I didn't know what. And so I said a couple of times, "You sure you want to do this?" And he said, "Yes."
There's the view.
He said, "I want to do this because
on the ferry.
It's not really that it's saving us time. It's just an experience." So we took the ferry from Vermont. After taking Kyle to the airport in Vermont, we got on the motorhome and got on the ferry, and there were 16 cars on the ferry, and this giant motorhome, and then my car behind us. Yes, it was very cool. I really enjoyed it, but I couldn't shake the feeling I had, and so trying to talk Todd out of something is.
You would have wanted to
no,
talk me out of it?
It's impossible. I did want to talk you out of it, but it's impossible because you were very much.
There's her car.
Yeah.
On the back end of the.
So we're towing my car. All right, so we get on the ferry. All is well. I'm thinking this is really so cool. We're sitting up in our RV really high, looking over all the other cars on the ferry and the water, and it was almost kind of like a barge. Then we get to Essex, New York, which is where we then began our trip, our long trip home. And we were brought onto the ferry, a guy doing this, doing this, doing this. We don't have good luck with that. Did you notice that? Every time we listen to somebody doing this.
It isn't age related though.
No, but
the first time it happened, he was an old guy.
I was with you.
So I thought to myself, well, maybe this is a young guy. I figure he can see better than me. Wrong.
Well, anyway, every time someone does this to us, this is what we hear. Crunch. And so I said, I was in the back. And I said, no, my gosh. It was a metal twisting sound. And in fact, that's exactly what happened. Because.
There's the metal that got bent.
We'll put all this up when we get home, but it ripped off our awnings.
Well, not all, just the one on the bedroom side.
Off a huge awning. And then bent the metal, and then the body of the RV got some, damage to it. And I was
just paint scratches. Most of all that'll buff off. The real damage was done right here you could see it. So I actually decided later to fix it. So it's cast aluminum. So I put it on the stove. I heated it up and straightened it back out.
This
Cat striking tea at the same time. But anyway, that's how we got the awning back online.
yeah. Well,
In
so
fact, I could show it finished. I did take a picture of it.
well,
But here it is straightened out. So after I heated it, I used these wrenches to pull it back to a straight position.
now when I tell you that Todd is Todd Guyver, I was watching him and I was thinking, how does anybody know how to do this? No, he didn't want to just wait until we could buy a new part because actually we couldn't drive down the highway with
By the
it
way,
like that.
there's the awning we got taken off, but you can see
So
I put it back.
so BJ, that's the RV is holding up pretty.
It's a lot of damn work, is what they can be. It's better if you.
If you don't tear things off while you go along, it's better. But
Well, considering we've gone
Oh.
6,000 miles plus, and all things considered, there's been no mechanical issues.
no, it's been great.
So it's been rolling along.
Yep.
We're getting 8.6 miles to the gallon.
That's the bummer. But the good news is the price of gas is down. We've gone out on summers where we were paying.
Well, we started with biodiesel,
Yep.
and then I can't always get that. So like lately, we haven't seen. It's ironic. In the middle of the country where all the corn is, you'd have plenty of biodiesel out here. You would think.
We have seen more cornfields. I keep waiting for Kevin Costner to walk out of the cornfields. But I health wise, she asked also about her health. Here's the thing.
She asked about what?
How we're holding up health wise on the road for so long. I can honestly tell you that
Look,
I
that's
probably
how
have
good Kat
gotten.
was doing. She's laying in the sun, catching some rays, and feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, other than this being a tough week emotionally, I mean, I get better sleep. I think out here on the road, so that helps everything. But I just sleep well here because it's not that I sleep. I think I sleep better and I sleep more, but that does not matter because all I want to do is get home and get into bed with my rooster. Both of my roosters. I mean, I guess that's it. But anyway, it's been really fun and it's fantastic to drive across the country because, like I said, what you're seeing is real America, not, the LA, New York, all the big cities. You're going through real America and you meet people along the way and I talk to everybody and
Well,
thank you for putting up with that because in the past that could drive people crazy, but I do love people and I always want to ask people about their lives and see what life is like outside of the big cities,
right.
and we just love it. So there you go. Okay,
But
Ryan.
there's lots to see if you do look up.
Yeah, that's right.
See, in your airplane, you're always looking down. You don't see anything.
Well, flying anymore is so not fun and it's scary. So I've really enjoyed traveling like this. I always have liked it, but I haven't done this in years, so it's been really fun. You haven't been on the road with me in 8 years. How about that? Until this one. So that was fun. Okay, so Ryan, what questions do
Yes.
we have? And then people can ask here. So Kyle, if you could jot down any questions that you see come up, that will be great. So when we're done with Ryan's questions, then we can go to the people in the chat room for questions. What do you think?
Love the idea.
Okay, so Kyle will do that. Okay, Ryan, what is...
Okay, I have a handful of questions here that I think are worth talking about. So one of them comes from Janet Smith. There are a few questions related to Unsinkable. So the first one is, how do you clean the red feathers and velvet on the red Unsinkable dress?
The answer is you don't touch them
Oh, yeah.
because they're so fragile. And if you were going to touch them, you'd get a conservationist. Literally would take a Q-tip, to each, and with very, very mild water soap kind of based products that were made for that. Because even Molly Brown, it's not an old movie, but it is 60 years old now, and let's go back to the Singing in the Rain costumes. For example, the scene where Debbie is with Gene and You Were Meant for Me and on the ladder and all. And that blue chiffon dress is so fragile. I mean, you just couldn't clean it using any sort of normal mechanism. So all of this stuff, in fact, we recently put the ruby slippers over at the Sphere, there was discussion about maybe cleaning that, but you'd have to do the same thing. You'd literally have to clean every sequin by hand. I mean, those things are also very old.
Yeah.
And, you can't, you would do damage if you use the wrong thing. So there are people that specialize in textile cleaning. You don't clean it the way you would, and you certainly would just use very mild stuff. So the feathers, brutal. You can't touch them. They are chicken feathers, by the way.
They are?
Yes, they are.
Oh,
I didn't want to bring that up.
No, and they've been dyed red.
No, it wasn't that. The chicken gave those voluntarily. The chicken donated those and grew additional ones afterwards. Right?
Yes.
Right. Here's another question for you, Todd. Who owns the ornate wood carved bed with the B on the headboard that was in the Denver mansion master bedroom scene?
I've never seen that. I only know the brass bed got bought at auction out from underneath my mother by a guy from Texas who was an oil man, and he was being booed in the audience. But I never saw the big B, but I don't remember that anyway. I know the B was over the front door. Is that what we're thinking about? Are we thinking about the big black Victorian bed? Maybe they could clarify, because in that movie there's a big black Victorian bed that I remember, and then the brass bed. I don't remember a B, the big gold B, which was actually made of wood, but they said it was solid. It's solid gold.
But we do have. Don't we have some furniture from Molly Brown from the movie?
I have
the mirrors, right?
We have at the top of the stairs mirrors that were on either side of the top of the stairs, but we also have the stove that she burns all the money up in.
That's right.
So that's a potbelly stove. And we've never really had a chance to use that. And I'm sorry about that. It's been in a crate for most of its life. I guess that's good to protect it, but it's a shame because that's such a cool item and such a pivotal story point. They burn up all that money, and that leads him to go out to find more money and finds the biggest gold strike in Colorado history right out in front of the cabin.
You know what? That is a life lesson right there. If you were going to look at that and say, how does that apply to life? Lost everything because she burnt it up in the oven. And his whole mind wasn't mad at her. And she was like, you're not mad at me, remember? His mind was, I have to go out and replace this to take care of business, and I love that. Now,
it's all about how you look at it.
Isn't that the truth?
She freaks out because she just burned up $400,000. And by the way, $400,000 in cash.
Back then,
oh my gosh.
Can you remember?
$40 million.
John Eric has hi, John Eric. I just wanted to say that I love you. Okay, I said it. There you go. He asked a great question, actually. And then we'll get back to some Ryans. I do. It said, was Debbie ever offered an opportunity to work with Alfred Hitchcock because she would have been fantastic? Honestly, that's a great question because knowing Debbie and then knowing how Alfred Hitchcock was with his cool blondes, right?
Yeah, I think he would have been bit.
I think it would have been an interesting.
If you put your hand in the cage, with certain, she would have, that wouldn't have gone over. No, they never worked together. I'm not saying I think she could have handled them very well, but I don't know that he would have responded well to being shut down like that. So my mother was approached and hit on, whatever you want to call it, over her lifetime many times, and even with big directors, and she knew how to sort of navigate it without getting fired. I don't know if she could have pulled it off.
You had to have done it with humor.
Right.
Anytime that ever happened to me, I would just handle it with humor. Like,
how come you don't do that with me?
Because I actually like you. But I would say, oh, come on, like they were kidding. I would always make it so that it became so uncomfortable to say they weren't kidding that, so yeah, I think Debbie would have
Carrie
handled
did it
him
really well too.
So it never came up, huh?
No, the Hitchcock thing never came up. And we watched Hitchcock's TV show when we were kids. We, of course, seen a lot of his movies, but we used to watch that regularly at home, and it never came up. So.
Yes. Giving
Well,
Tiffy
Brian's
Hedren
got.
a run for her money.
No,
I've
that's
got some more.
Yep, ready.
With Tippy had, yeah.
You mentioned the ruby slippers. I had a couple of questions about the ruby slippers because everyone on mine talks about Debbie having the Arabian slippers that she sold at auction, but a lot of people were asking about the origin of the ones that are on display at the Sphere.
Okay, so I've told this story a number of times. Clearly, if you remember when the first auction took place, David Weiss, MGM Auctions, in this like 71, whatever it was, there were 4 slippers back then, plus the Arabians. So David Weiss didn't want all these slippers coming up for auction, so they just auctioned one pair, which is the ones you saw that have been through so much turmoil. And my mother was promised the ability to buy other slippers after the sale. So she never bought any more slippers. In fact, the Arabian slippers were really not purchased at the sale per se. So everything else that she got later from the head of the prop and wardrobe department from MGM. And these are people she'd known her whole life. They had promised her these slippers. She made decisions based on what she thought would be best at that time, for a museum display. So she chose what she has currently, which is these really pristine slippers. Now, the downside of that is they were never danced in, so they were not screen abused. Now, no one knew back then that was also what would make them even more valuable. So obviously you could make a good argument to say, you missed the opportunity because she could have gotten them all.
Yes.
Other than the one that was sold, she could have bought 2 or 3 more pair, but didn't care because it was like, no, I've got these. These are perfect. And then she bought the Arabian slippers. Came up as sort of a side deal because she thought it was kind of interesting. Nobody else did. And she thought the side story that the original slippers, which were the Arabian slippers, and the only reason why they were cut out of the movie is that they had reprogrammed the entire movie after Buddy Epson got poisoned from the paint. And then he got replaced. And at that time, they redid her dress. They redid the gingham dress, even changed at that time. Yeah. And they changed the slipper design. We're talking about Adrian now. And even her hair design got changed. And my mother just thought that was an interesting piece of history. And they offered her the Arabian slippers for $300. So it was kind of like oh, well, for $300, that's a cool story. I'll keep that in the museum and we'll tell a story about something that, is a piece of history that no one will ever necessarily know, but now we all do. And fortunately, we were able to find some footage of Buddy Epson recently. So the stuff we did at the Sphere, we put some film clips together, and I had Dusty Epson, Buddy's son, work on that with me. And he found some footage, and we have some stills. So we tell a really cool part of the Arabian story. And then we also show Debbie with the other slippers that are the ones that are on display. So I've heard people say, and I'll cover this because I've seen, comments out there. So they're saying, well, these are not the original slippers. So when you have only one of something, you can then say, this is the original of that item. Now, if I made 2 for a movie, are they both original or is one the copy of the other? And on and on. Now, we had many dresses, for example, that were 2 and 3 were made because the person was going to get wet or was going to be abused. So they would make several of one thing. So are the other dresses copies and only one original, or are those all originals? So you could make an interesting argument. It's really semantics. Was it screen used? I like to say, and I'm only repeating what my mother said because I was very young when all this happened. She said she never claimed that these were danced in by Judy or any of that. She chose these because they were in pristine condition. They were made from the same molds, the same sequins, all that. So they are copies, or are they one of the first sets of originals, or how many originals? So you could see how this argument goes down. Now, if you look at the ones that are danced in, there are at least 3, maybe even 4 that I've seen.
And one pair is in the Smithsonian, right?
Yeah, they're around. Anyway, I like to bring that up because a lot of people will say, "Oh, so what's an original of anything?" I mean, only the first one is original technically, and then everything after that is a copy. But nobody really knows of the ruby slippers that were danced in, which one is the original. Only the first one would have been the original, and there's nobody alive, and there's no way to know what that original one was. So everything else after the first pair made. But see, I was in the very room when they made these slippers. I saw the ladies that used to build this, do all the detailed sequin work on all the most fabulous costumes out of MGM. They just had a little bead shop where these elderly ladies that had been there for their whole lives, I guess, and they did amazing work. And these things were hand stitched, every sequin you see. That's why they're so fragile. And when you see the ones you do see that were danced in, they're beat up pretty bad because they were never. It's not really the ideal shoe for a dance shoe.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's the long version of it. I wanted to get the long version out because there have been a lot of questions. Even when I brought the slippers over to the Sphere, somebody said, "Oh, I can't believe you would bring these over here. Why would you let these people have these things here and under these conditions?" And I said, "Well, we're controlling the conditions to a large degree, but I know it's what my mother would want." And they were like, "Well, how do you know your mother would want these to be shown or displayed like this here?" I said, "Because that's why she collected everything, was so that the people would enjoy it." So where are the people? Well, they're going to be at the Spheres where they're going to be. The Wizard of Oz fans are going to be at the Sphere. And I got to tell you, if you didn't catch our show about this, that that experience is off the charts. It's truly a unique experience. No, it's not watching the movie in a theater in a traditional sense, but in many ways, it's better in some ways. I say if you can afford it, go for it. It's well worth it. It's really a trip.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. And I just think also it's so interesting too because out of the thousands of costumes and artifacts that your mom owned, these slippers were the only thing she kept in her house.
But that didn't happen until after the whole museum.
No, but I know that after.
I never.
When I came into the picture, they were.
Yeah, but here's the funny part. I never saw any of this stuff. I knew she had them. I remember seeing a lot of this when Carrie and I were very little, but I never saw any of this till we said, "Oh, let's build a museum in Vegas." And all this stuff started coming out. It was never in our house. It was never in her apartment. It had always been stashed away, locked up in either Vegas. She had a closet in Vegas where she kept a lot of stuff. And then at DR Studios for a long time, a lot of this stuff was kept. This is going way back. And I never saw any of it. Carrie and I never saw it. Carrie used to try to get at it. Now, when we were little, I've run some home movies of Carrie and I with those costumes at the Greenway house. So now you're talking about us 13, 14 years old. That was the last time stuff was stored in a house. But that was stored downstairs. It was not on display. We had to go rifling through these expensive racks of clothing, and Carrie's taking out Betty Grable and Jane Books wearing Meet Me in St. Louis, Mary Astor's costume. I mean, it's like horrifying when you think about it. I had on Gene Kelly's outfit from Three Musketeers, and my friend John Courtney had on Van Heflin's Three Musketeers.
It's like Kim Kardashian wearing Marilyn Monroe's gown. It's like, oh my God. I remember just being mortified by that because just touching these costumes or so.
It was we didn't know a lot until later. We got some training from the Victoria and Albert Museum people in their textile department. They helped us realize how we needed to change our ways. Typical uneducated people, but no one in the industry was taking care of this stuff at that really early on. By the time it got to be 1990 and we're doing the museum in Vegas, I took over, and then we really started to adopt serious conservation techniques and repack everything, rehang everything, relabel everything, etc.
All right, so we'll go for the
long answer.
That was
I have
the
two
longest
more
answer
questions
of
related
all
to
time.
Carrie,
Okay.
and then we can go to the chat questions.
Okay.
So the first question I have is, what would Carrie think about her image, that of Princess Leia, being on a Coke can, given that she loved Coke?
I think she would be very supportive of anything that ever associated her with her favorite drink, Coca Cola. And I say that without getting one red cent from them. She loved Coke. You remember a while back they tried to rebrand it and change the flavor of the original Coke, and then they had to go back and say
Yeah.
Coke the original. I mean, she freaked out when they did that. I mean, she is a diehard, loyal Coke drinker since we were little kids, and that is why she had to have all of her teeth replaced. Not maybe the only reason, but certainly I have all my original teeth that she has none. So I'm only missing one tooth that I cracked and had to have it removed. But generally speaking, I think that it's not good for if you're going to drink it the way she did. Now, she also did a few other things that might have been considered hazardous to your health
Yes.
and possibly to your teeth. But I would just say that she loved Coke. We do like Coke. I still drink a Coke. And I have a little tip for you, those that are traveling into foreign countries where you might be encountering bugs through water and other things, that my doctor told me a long time ago, and I've traveled the world with utilizing this technique. A Coke a day when you're traveling will kill anything. And all my friends were getting sick. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go out of your way to drink extra water and stuff, but I'm just saying if you pay attention to what you're doing and you drink that Coke, that stuff is so. I mean,
a real Coke, not a diet
yeah, no,
Coke.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
Real Coke. And I mean, if you leave Coke on a painted surface, it'll eat the paint off.
Yep.
So this stuff has got some properties to
It's
kill
so-
bacteria.
all sodas are so bad for you, and I got addicted to Coca-Cola for the first time in my life during COVID because I was so sick, and that I wasn't eating anything, and that I was so sick to my stomach all the time, and the doctor said drink a real Coke. Well, it was the best thing I ever tasted in my life, and so I got addicted to Coca-Cola. And getting off of it was probably like getting off heroin. It was
I only
so
have
bad.
I,
It was so
I,
hard.
I only have one regret at being born kind of in the wrong time slot. I would have liked to have tasted the original Coke from the 1930s, which had cocaine in it. That was one of the ingredients. They switched it out to caffeine. But I was told by people that actually had tried it that it actually was wasn't ridiculous. I mean, it wasn't like you became a drug addict after drinking a Coke. Obviously, it is addictive, but I guess so is caffeine or whatever. Anyway, I would have loved to have tried that. And Carrie and I talked about that. That was something she would have loved to. If Carrie did everything she ever wanted to do, she had her bucket list and she was constantly updating it. And that's one thing that never. She would have loved that.
Yeah.
All right, enough of the Coca-Cola.
And
All right, here is the last question I have.
okay.
Someone was asking about Byron Lane's "A Star Is Born."
A
So
Star
they
Is
wanted
Born.
to know, Todd, if you ever met the author, were you aware of the book? I know the answers to these, but you want to tell the people.
Okay, so Byron was Carrie's personal assistant for many years, and I will say one of the best for Carrie. He had great ethics. Very few people knew how to navigate the relationship of Carrie, and especially you could get caught up in other aspects of her life that would have been inappropriate. He always really walked a thin line and did a great. I admired him. At one point, he came back to Carrie and he said, I've been here several years now. I want to move on, and the word got back to my mother. And my mother sent me over to meet with him with gold coins to bribe him to stay. So my mother also thought he was very valuable as well. And he was indeed, because his replacement was the worst of the worst. And
Oh no, I think that the
second one now.
yeah, we're not going to go there.
Yeah, no, but I
let's
mean,
just not go
there have been
Yeah.
others that were a nightmare.
But let me just say, first of all, Byron was so loved in our family, and he's a great guy, and he was always a creative person, a writer himself. He came from a background, before Carrie. He had been, I think if I'm not getting this right, I don't know, but I think I am. I think he was, worked with the news, whatever town he worked, television news, whatever town that he came from before he came to Los Angeles. So Byron always had, his own dreams, and one of the hardest things in the world, I think, one of the hardest things to do is go to work for a huge star. Because
Where's your microphone? I just want to make sure it's in the area.
It's right here.
Okay, just checking.
We're in good real estate. Going to work for a big star as their personal assistant is, I think, a bit of a nightmare job because you work a lot. You're always on call. You have to travel with them, and if it's somebody that travels a lot, then you can't really have a life. And I think that what are you doing?
Just keep going.
Okay. What are you doing back there?
I'm going to adjust.
Okay. So I think you can only do it for a couple of years.
Your microphone overheated.
Oh, did it go out?
Yeah, that's why I was wondering why it was so low.
Okay.
Here,
All
just
right.
keep going.
But if no one can hear me,
I know. Pause.
pause. Okay, we're pausing at a good place. Ryan, can you hear me?
Only through my microphone.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now I'm going to just change this out. That thing is so hot right now.
Yes, it felt good on my back.
Did it? It's like a
Yes.
lower. Okay,
All right. Well,
You got my mic.
If they can't hear me,
Well,
where's your microphone?
You guys can hear me, right?
All right. Well, I'll just wait.
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Only because they hear you
I
through
can
the
only
Zoom.
because I'm listening to you through a
Okay.
different
Well,
means.
just 1 second.
Okay, we're back up. Now let me just
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
wait. Okay, now go.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, I see you.
Okay, good. All right. So I was saying that the hardest job in the world is to. No, it's not the hardest job in the world. One of the most challenging jobs is working for a big star as their personal assistant. Very difficult. So they don't last long because the burnout factor is massive. You are literally living somebody else's life with them or for them. And you are the one person behind the scenes making everything happen. When Todd and I got married, Byron, Carrie, and Debbie planned our wedding. Byron had to execute all of the, directives. So every time I see Byron, I always say, thank you so much for giving us such a great wedding, because he's the one that fine-tuned and made the calls and made the arrangements and the tent and the It's a lot of work. Yes, Carrie and Debbie did plan
Well,
it.
no. What Carrie was famous for is these amazing Hollywood parties. But Carrie would say, just like those movies with Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney, I have an idea. We could do a show, and if we do the show, it'll pay off Aunt Elma's farm. Now Carrie would do something very similar. She says, I have an idea. We should have a party. Now that's where it would end for Carrie, except for maybe inviting a certain people. But generally speaking, that's a great idea. Let's have a party, and then everybody else had to make it happen.
Yeah.
My mom, my sister, Mary with the food, and Gloria with the food, and she'd bring in the whole family, and Freddie would be involved. I mean, the entire Mary Douglas's family, would be deployed for these huge parties.
Yeah. But anyway, back to Byron. Yeah. So I really I love Byron, and I actually, Todd did not read A Star Is Born, but I did. When it first came out, I saw him promoting it on social media, and I got it and I read it, and I thought it was very well written, and I thought it was so interesting because even though it was not written as Byron being Carrie's assistant, it was an actress that named Catherine, and
He's talking about you.
yeah, no, but he and so it was not written about Carrie, but the similarities to everything.
Well,
I know, but I recognized all the characters.
But I thought,
But
from
I
what you
thought it
could
was
tell
really
me, you did
good.
all right. Now, the other part of this question, Ryan, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait a
was,
second. Well, I just want to say what I thought about the book.
Ah.
I thought it was really good, and I thought it was fun and clever, and I actually wrote him, I think. I hope I pushed send on that. And after I read it, and I said, that book answered a lot of questions for me, or not answered them as much as I want. That I thought, I I knew that it happened that way, you know. So it was interesting to read, but so well written. And if you haven't read it, it's a very entertaining book. And you know, he wrote it with a lot of love, and I think that's what struck me the most, is that I think Byron really did love Carrie, and I think leaving her to, because he met somebody who wanted to have a life, and you know, you do so much traveling, so you know, it's a not a it's a really hard job.
And in fairness, Carrie was a handful,
Yeah.
and then some. A suitcase
But I
full.
think most big stars are.
I'm sure. I don't know what
I don't.
everybody is.
I think that she had her own, you know, like things that made it a little more difficult, because you know, you had to really watch. But you know, here's the deal. I don't think any of them are easy to work for. You know, I really don't. So it's just a hard job. But anyway, he's been writing books ever since, and he's a great person. And Todd never did read the book. Todd's not the kind of person to sit down with a book and read a book, you know. So
Well, I've read one or two.
yeah, but I think he'd rather
the last
listen
one might
to
have been
it.
Mark Twain. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, wait, Ryan, wasn't the part two of that question though what I recommend on a book on Carrie?
Were there other books that you're aware of that you might recommend that are?
I could
Carrie
recommend
related?
several great Carrie books, the ones that Carrie wrote. She wrote about herself better than anybody, and all of her books are written.
Yeah,
Many of them are allegedly fiction, but they are based in truth. And many of the stuff is very, very on the nose. But literally, there is a very long line of Carrie books. If you look her up, Postcards to Miette, Delusions of Grandma, you know,
yeah,
Wishful Drinking, The Best Awful, you know, The Princess Diaries. I mean, there's like 7 books. Nobody wrote about Carrie better than Carrie. Like, I don't even want you to read. My book is my perspective of being with Carrie, but really, I'm not trying to tell you about Carrie, because she did such a brilliant job of telling you about herself in her books. However good Byron's book is, it's an assistant's view of working for Carrie. But if you really want to get inside of Carrie's head and inside of her life, you read her books.
yeah.
That's my opinion.
I think
And
she
there
was
it is.
pretty brutally
Pretty
honest.
thorough. That's
Yeah,
why
that's right.
somebody asked me, well, why didn't you write books long ago? You were such a good writer. It's like, I'm not going to write when you got Carrie out there. She was so good at it that who in the world would ever want to be involved? I didn't pick up a pencil until she passed on. Then I said, well, I'll finish some of these stories.
Yeah, exactly. Was that the last one, Rye?
There were a few others, but I think you can start grabbing from the chat.
Okay. Kyle, did you write anything down? Make yourself known.
Yes,
There
I
you
have-
go.
I have a list of questions from people on YouTube.
Okay. We are ready.
Let
Can I just read them off?
Yep.
Let it be known, little man in the box.
Any sort of topic, or just any of them that come through?
Yeah.
You are in control.
You're in the driver's seat.
All right, from Glenda, they asked, what are your favorite Debbie and Carrie movies?
Favorite Debbie and Carrie movies. That's a big question. But now for Carrie, you know, I mean, you have to. Carrie's got some. Obviously, everybody loves the Princess Leia thing, so let's separate off of that for a minute. But then let's look at some other things that Carrie's done. Now, since we've been talking about the ruby slippers, I want to bring up a very sort of an unknown movie of Carrie's called Somewhere Under the Rainbow, and she's playing like a production assistant that's handling all the small people on the movie. And it's out of freaking control. It's hilarious. Chevy Chase is investigating a murder that's taking place, so it's obviously a comedy. But I think that's a fun movie, and it's obscure. No, it's not her finest hour, the finest work. I was on the set of this movie, and let me tell you, the studio was panicked. They brought me in to try to keep a handle on her. So I was with her through this whole movie. And the insurance guy kept coming to the door like every day. Knock, knock, knock on the trailer door. Check, everything okay in there? Everything's fine. Don't push it. Background. The guy was being really annoying, but they were panicking because, I don't know if you're aware of this, but when you make a movie in Hollywood, you get a bond, a completion bond, and it implies what it says, completion bond. If you don't complete, they got to pay off. So they're ensuring the fact that Carrie's going to finish this movie where she's just come off the rails. So just saying, it was quite something. I didn't write about this in my book because it isn't exactly something I was trying to focus on, but it was wild times, and Chevy was hilarious, and that's a great movie. Another great one is Man with the One Red Shoe. Where
I never saw either one of these movies.
Well, that's a Jim Belushi
Oh,
film.
yeah.
But the obvious look, I could jump into a little role that she played in Harry Met Sally. She plays, the I guess she's the best friend, Meg Ryan's best friend in the movie. It's a cute little movie. She's got a cute little role, and it's very much like not a lot of acting on Carrie. She's sort of playing herself, or sort of this average New York best friend. So there's that. So Carrie had a lot of little parts throughout her career, a lot more than you'd ever think. So there's a bunch of small. Of course, the Blues Brothers is a classic. And I had to help her out with that one because if you watch her in there, she's firing all these heavy weapons. So I gave her some weapons training so she'd look cool firing a rocket launcher, machine guns, various assorted weapons while she's trying to knock off John Belushi. Now, John, this is right when Carrie was super close to John, and everybody was very close. And Carrie was engaged to Danny during this time, and we were on tour with them, and it was a beautiful time. I was really hoping to have Dan Aykroyd as my brother-in-law, and then Carrie, got whisked off by Paul Simon, and come on, that's he's rather charming in his music.
And what about your mom's? What your favorite movie of your mom's?
Well, there's so many different things, but I mean, like early on in her career, I'm going to stay off the obvious ones just because, I'm going to say Singing in the Rain or whatever. But let's drop into The Catered Affair. It's a black and white movie. Ernest Borgnine, Betty Davis. My mother plays a dramatic role. No singing, no dancing, none of that. Just straight drama. It's a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, please watch. That's a great, great movie. And so really, by today's standards, kind of benign. But back then it was rated very like R-rated, back in those days. Another great, great one is one of your favorites is Goodbye, Charlie. Yep. Goodbye, Charlie is Vince Minnelli, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Vince Minnelli was the director, and I'm not like a huge Vince Minnelli fan, but this movie is way ahead of its time, and he just kills this movie. My mother took Marilyn Monroe's place. Marilyn couldn't show up in the studio, replaced her with my mother.
That would have been interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, had she played it.
Yeah, it would have been
interesting. I don't know
interesting.
if she would have been quite as... I don't know. I never saw her in a role like that, but my mother, of course, was really good with Tony Curtis in that movie. It's freaking hilarious. Walter Matthau is in it. And our great friend Pat Boone has his role in there. And that's how we became good friends with his family. And the girls used to come over to the house. And it just became a really fun beginning of relationships that went on forever to this day. Other than that, I could keep going, of course.
No, but
we can't.
No. Because this will never end. Let me just say, okay, Kyle, next.
Well, wait a minute. Just kidding.
Don asked if Debbie liked being on the Golden Girls because she fits in so well on the show.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, she was that character, right? So there's not a whole lot of. I mean, she belonged in there with.
God, she would have been a great in that cast. Yeah,
should have been.
Yeah.
So now she was on the show, right? She did like different little. I thought she was a guest or something, but she was not a regular one, right?
No. Mm-mm.
Right. But yeah, I mean, when they gave her a chance to cut loose, which is of course what happens, they would put her in these different things. Well, I mean, what's the one where she's, the daughter of the girl in the series that went on?
Will and Grace.
Will and Grace.
Yes.
So, like, when they gave her that part, she ran with it. and you could see what she did. She turned that into a magical, fun thing, and really not some of it's just her, you know.
Okay, next one.
All right, from Whitebird, question for Kat. What was it like to work with Edward Mulcair on Knight Rider?
Oh my gosh. I loved Edward Mulhare. I mean, first of all, I grew up watching him on The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. Remember the series? Some of you might remember it. It was a long time ago, but I loved him. And I think, he was a little like curmudgeonly, but never with me. And, he was older when he did Knight Rider, and it was a lot, for him to be on his feet that long, those kind of hours. David was a young whippersnapper back then, and everybody on the show, but Edward was awesome. And
this
what I loved Edward Mulhare, and he actually, when I married David, because my dad and I did not have a relationship at that time, Edward gave me away, and he stepped in and gave me away, and that was such a huge thing for me because, when he offered to do that, I didn't even think, no one really needs to give me away. I didn't even think about that. And he said, "Who's going to give you away?" And I said, "Nobody." He said, "I will." And that was a moment in my life, really.
See,
I loved
can you read
him.
that last name there, Madeline? Is it? How do you say that last name, Madeline?
Gamorza.
Okay, Madeline. You're very concerned.
Marilyn.
Oh,
Madeline, it said
Madeline's correct.
Marilyn was dead when that movie was made, 1964.
Now, Marilyn, do you think that I might know something
Madeline.
about Madeline? You think I might know something about this? The reason why I know this to be true, first of all, the movie came out then. The movie was made quite a bit before that. Yes, she did die, but not way after all. It was after all of this. And the reason why I know this is I own a costume sketch. It's by Walter Plunkett. And it says it's a beautiful dress for the cocktail party scene in Goodbye Charlie. And it says Marilyn Monroe as Charlie in Goodbye Charlie. So I know what I'm talking about. Marilyn was going to be Charlie. As you know, she was having a lot of problems at that time. And yes, by the time the movie came out, she probably was gone. But not during production and not in time for the costume sketch. So I do hold that I know what I'm talking about here 100%.
Well, that's an interesting thing, though, that she brought up, because it would be fun to go back now and
How much time?
see what the timeline was, because sometimes movies, not only are they made and held and held and held before release, but they're also, but for all kinds of reasons.
Well, this was held. They actually
Yeah,
had to stop production,
yeah,
according to Tony Curtis,
right.
and bring in my mother.
Well, and when Marilyn Monroe was making Something's Gotta Give, was that what it was called? Or something's Gotta Give, or something. I think that's the movie she was possibly
Oh,
making.
the last one when she was in the pool.
And she passed. So I'd love to go back and look at all that, because
There is a timeline that would be interesting.
Yeah,
Sure.
be
But
very
just
interesting.
suffice it to say
So
that,
for that, Madeline, thank you so much,
Yeah,
because
that's
I
why-
think that's going to be fun to do.
but I wanted you to be aware that that's because that is how it worked out the way it did. So, and in fact, my mother did not know that she had replaced Marilyn when she did. It was years later that she found out that she had replaced her, but she did not know when she got that part that she had replaced her. So anyway, just a little bit. And if you have any more questions, you're welcome to jump in there with another one, Matt.
Oh, this is good. Debbie was so good in Mother. I love that
Mother.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mother was one of my favorites. There were things going on in the movie Mother. I went to the screening of Mother in Red Rock in Arizona. Red Rock, Arizona, a small theater. We were all up there when the movie came out. So we did sort of a premiere up there in Red Rock. And I laughed. There was no one in the theater laughing except me sometimes, just watching some of the shtick that my mother was doing. Now, obviously, some of that stuff's funny for everybody, but there was just, to see her in the kitchen to me is hilarious. To see her in a gardening was hilarious. There were just so many things going on. That movie is so well written. And Albert Brooks, God bless you for writing that movie. And he showed it to Carrie, and Carrie said, "You've got to get her to do this." She was at the hotel in Vegas at the time. And I had to force her to make that movie. And I'm glad we did.
John Eric wanted to know, before I go back to Kyle, John Eric wanted to know if you ever met. Did you ever visit the set of The Burbs? Because that's the movie that he's asking about.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet the outrageous brother Theodore who was in The Burbs with Carrie?
Well, I was the only time I was around her and Tom Hanks together was during that movie, and so I don't know. I'm not sure what character he's referring to there, because I didn't. And no, I wasn't on. I was at. It's on the back lot, so I was in the neighborhood a few times when we were making that movie. And who was the neighbor in the military outfit? Who was in Silent Running? Bruce Dern.
Yeah.
He was around, and I was a big Bruce Dern fan from the movie Silent Running long before that. He was a brilliant actor.
Well, who was the actor that John Eric is talking about?
I'm not sure. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because I never saw The Burbs.
Oh, it's a cute movie. It's obviously, an Aykroyd comes into the neighborhood. It's the movie about bad neighbors, and everybody can relate, I think, at some point.
Yeah. I've been really pretty lucky, I have to say. I don't think I've ever had a bad neighbor. Isn't that amazing? Of course, then I lived in apartment in New York City for 17
Or
years.
you could have them there, and then be
Yeah,
close,
no, I don't
close
think I
proximity.
ever had a bad neighbor.
All right,
since
Kyle,
then.
what else you got?
All right, Nicole wanted to know where in the world would you love to go that you've never been before.
What is it?
World would you like to go that you've never been before? Well, I can honestly tell you that I would like to drag Todd to Rome, Italy, and a few other places there.
Wow, but she asked where we've been before,
No, we haven't been.
but we've been to those places.
You haven't been with me.
Oh, I have, but we've both been to Rome many times.
Yeah.
But she lived there, and yeah, we would have fun there. But we'd have to go with
Spain,
a
I would
smaller.
say he's been a lot more places than I've been. So I would love to see Spain. I would love to. To be honest with you, I haven't wanted to travel outside of the country for such a long time because it's just too crazy out there right now. But I do love going on cruises, and I would love to see Spain via a cruise where you jump off for the day and you go see something and you come back. I would love to see that.
But what about
Greece? I would love to
Can
see.
you think of anything in the United States? See, we got her to Alaska. That was a big
I would
deal.
like to see Mount Rushmore. I've never seen that. Yeah, there's plenty to see here. That I have. When I do the thing, how many of 50 states have you been to? I've been to almost all of them. So I do travel a lot, and I haven't seen Mount Rushmore. I love Wyoming, but nothing.
You love Cody, Wyoming.
Nothing pleases
You
me
like
more
Cody,
than
Wyoming?
being home. Because people say, "Why don't you take a vacation?" I'm like, "Why?
Home is vacation.
I live in a place where everybody wants to go on a vacation, and I mean, I just love being home."
Sometimes I'm traveling and I'll stay in a really nice hotel or something, and I'll think to myself, this is not even as nice as where I live. Somebody said, "Oh, wow, you guys had a pool right outside of your room there." I said, "Yeah, I have that at home too." No, but I'm just saying so you can create, when you've traveled as much as we have,
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of things that are beautiful to see, and we'll continue to travel. This is fun to travel in. If you're going to travel.
Yeah, I love this very much because you don't have to pack and unpack and fly here, fly there. What I love about being in an RV is that you have your own sheets, your own towels, your own pillows, your closet. You don't have to pack and unpack. You don't have to sit in airports. And I think to be honest with you, I can say I have been to so many of our states in the United States, but I've only been on vacation maybe 3 times in my life. And so maybe Alaska was one. I went to Sedona, Arizona, and that's where I was when 9/11 happened.
Well, I took you through Sedona all the way.
No, I know,
across,
but I was literally staying at like the once in a lifetime trip
like in
spa.
Los Abragados. That's the big
Better,
spa there.
better.
Hard to beat Los-
It was incredible, and you save your whole life for to take that one huge vacation, and it was so great. But then the morning I was flying home, after being there for 10 days, that's when the 9/11 happened, so I couldn't get home. And I think that that is one of the reasons that I love being home so much, is because, you know, when you're home and something happens, it's easy. Like, you busy over there?
Well, Roy was telling me I'm not in the. You're in the better light, and that's the
Of
way
course.
as it should be. So
Of
I'm
course.
not going to correct that problem.
All right, we have time for one more, if there is one more, Kyle, and then we'll let everybody get about their get on about their weekend.
That's all I have.
Perfect. So that timing is wonderful. Let me just see what we can do. Okay. First of all, I'd like to say thank you everybody for coming tonight, because
You have a giveaway to do.
we have a
Or are
giveaway
you
to
doing
do.
a super thing? What are you doing?
We're doing both. We're doing the giveaway, and we're doing the super wheel, of course,
Okay.
for all of our donors last week. And thank you for all the people that donated tonight, because you will be on next week's super wheel, and we'll be home next Saturday night. So we'll actually be sitting, and we'll probably still be in the. I have to wean myself off of the motorhome whenever we would come back from a trip. I always had to kind of make it a slow weaning off the motorhome, because it is a bit like being in the womb, and I love it. But there we go. We had a wheel. All right. So let's give stuff away. That's the fun part. Anybody that's here right now, I urge you to stick with us, because if you have been adding to the chat, your name has been entered on this wheel. This is we're going to pick 5 gifts here. If your name comes up, it's a randomizer, so it's digitally randomized. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll just tell you what you all want. I'm going to pull 5 people from here, and maybe you'll be one of the lucky ones. Okay, so here we go. Go ahead and spin that wheel, and let's see who wins. I would love that. Is it spinning?
Spin.
We're ready. Denise Smith, you are one of the wieners, okay? So Denise Smith, go ahead and write us at catandtoddlive@gmail.com and give us your email address, and I'll tell you what you won, because I'm going to be sending it there, okay? So the next one is, which one am I looking at here? It's settling down, and it is Mary Mason. You are winner number 2. We have 3 more, and then I'll tell you guys. Remember, you have to write me at catandtoddlive@gmail.com and send your email address, because that's how we're going to be sending this prize to you. So Elizabeth Medron, you are number 3. Congratulations. 2 more spins, and then we will go on to the super wheel. So this is called the chat wheel we're on right now. And so if anybody chats in the chat room, your name is automatically entered onto the wheel that we're doing right now. So we're going to go ahead, and you can tell me, Diane Vasquez. All right, Diane. And I saw your question, and my answer to that would be, I think the favorite book I've read of Carrie's is Postcards or Wishful Drinking. Those are my 2 favorites. All right. So the last winner on this wheel, then we go on to the super wheel. So the last winner here is LCM. Don't know who that is. So LCM, also write catandtoddlive@gmail.com. I need your email. You can tell I'm on my last brain cell tonight, right? Okay, so here we go. What you have won, all of you, is a $25 gift certificate to catcosmetics.com. That's my company, catcosmetics.com. And so I will be sending those out to you tomorrow. And you just go on there and get a little something for yourself. It's a really fun place. So you all will be getting a gift certificate for $25 for catcosmetics.com.
Look at that new graphic. Nice.
I know, Ryan. He's been on it. Look at that, Ryan. You've gotten so good at that designing.
Nice.
Very nice. All right. Now the super wheel. So for those of you who aren't aware, the people that donate, you can see it on the sides. So any donations that are made they go to the cost of this show, the production of this show, as well as any legacy projects that we have going on with preserving things for like Debbie's sign, and so we thank you for that. Now, if you donated last week, right here, then your name is on the super wheel, and we're about to spin that, and then I'm going to have Ryan tell you how to get the. We have one winner on this because it's usually a really good prize. So here we go. We are spinning the. Oh, Ryan! I love this. Oh my gosh! Wait, you got to put that back up after the winner. This is a great prize. Oh man, here we go. Thank you everybody for your donations. Allison Mills. Oh, Allison. Okay.
Hey, show us that.
Show us that card that had the prize on it so she can see it, and then we'll tell her how to do it. This is great.
Yep, hold on.
This is
cute.
great. I'm super excited that look at my little bare feeties.
There you go.
Okay. Is it back? There it is.
Should be.
So
Choose any Frank Worth print from the Debbie Reynolds studio store.
That's a big.
That's an
a good one.
amazing prize. And Allison, let me tell you, when you get this, these prints are so gorgeous. I said that they're like furniture. I mean, because they are magnificent. You put that on a wall and.
Am I crazy, or is that image backwards on our feed?
Where? I don't know. What difference does it make? That's a. I'm cool with it. All right. So you guys, I just want to say, also, Kyle or
I fixed
Ryan,
it. You can put it back. I
did
fixed
you want to say anything about the Patreon, or so either one of you can take that before we say goodnight?
The Patreon, I don't know if people can hear me well.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Turn your volume up.
Go ahead. I'll put the microphone right next to the speaker, so you go right
Perfect.
Yeah.
Our Patreon page is Behind the Stage Doors with Kat and Todd. And we have a lot of footage, home movies, performances by Debbie. There's just a lot of old talk show clips. Anyway, we have free memberships. We have $3 or $4 memberships, and we have $10 memberships. They all give you different access to different videos, but there is something there for everyone. So we encourage you to go to Patreon and try us out.
Okay, well, that is a great thing. So before we go, I just want to say, I just send you so much love to everybody, and so good to be here with you. And I like this show because it was intimate, and we're all in that one place. And you make me happy, all of you. So thank you so much.
They can see a pin on it too, right?
That's the kitchen cam. That's the crock pot cam. And if you missed the show last week, I have a new crock pot recipe that I did on camera, and it's on last week's show for how to make a roast. And I'm actually gonna, Kyle, I'm gonna have you send me that independently. You know, the video.
Yeah, the independent version.
Yeah, I need
is
to
posted on
eat.
YouTube as well.
What'd you say?
I said the independent version is posted as like a separate home video as well.
Oh, okay, great. So you can just find the roast video if you'd like, but I'm telling you, you make this roast, you're not going to believe how good this is, and this is how much you have to know. This much, all right? So anyway, I just want to say, am I still on camera? Because Todd
I was going to say, yes, you are.
Okay.
But look what I just threw up just for fun.
What'd you do?
I'll put it up on the camera. I'll put it up on the...
All right. Well, I was just about to say goodbye, but I'm going to wait and see what he's doing.
No, I was just going to put this up.
What is it?
That's outside the RV looking at I-70 freeway.
That's what we're on. Somebody asked about if we were taking I-70 all the way home.
That's looking out there at I-70.
No, we definitely are going to Denver and then Uray, and then we're going to. Then what do we take home after that?
Well, you go right from Uray straight home.
On what road? On what highway?
70 to the 15.
70 to the 15. I cannot wait to get there and with my animals. I cannot wait. But have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much for spending much of it with me last night and Todd and I tonight. We just really appreciate you so much. Love you and look forward to our time with you. It's been hard not to be with you. All right, guys. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend.
Go ahead, Brian.
See